Hey everybody, Ricky G Reviews here, and I'm going to take a look at the Inhumans, the origin of the Inhumans by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. This book was published in 2013. This is the first printing of the book. You got the bind here. Very simple, pretty nice. I like the white with the Marvel. Here we go to the back. Here's the blurb if you want to pause it and read that. Right here is everything that's collected. Fantastic Four, 1961, 36, 38, and so on. This originally goes for $40, but I got it at half price books for half that price. $19.99, can't go wrong. Alright, so what to say about this book? So this book, the stories start... I think it starts in 1965, and Sue and Reed and the Fantastic Four are about to get married when they get when the Frightful Four forms with Medusa. And I really like the artwork by Jack Kirby. He is one of the best. Actually, he's probably considered the best artist when it comes to comic books. And Medusa is initially introduced as a villainous type. She doesn't really have any backstory or anything when it first starts out, but later on in the book, they go into, her origins and whatnot. And she was manipulated by Paste Pot Pete. He's probably my favorite character in this whole book. It's so hilarious. Better known as a trapster, because he changes his name because his name is so ridiculous, but that's pretty funny. And as I'm flipping through the pages, you'll notice that this is primarily a Fantastic Four book. All the books in here are from Fantastic Four, because the Inhumans were created as side characters, kind of an offshoot, supporting character roles. And oh man, look at this action here by Jack Kirby. It's just some of the best. Yeah, but they were introduced as side characters. So if you want to get into this book, if you're a Fantastic Four fan, this is a good book for you. Especially because it collects, everything that's in here is Inhumans related in some way. Towards the back, there's some stories like the coming of Galactus and stuff. And those are just kind of excerpts from those comics. All that it's included is the parts that are Inhumans related. For example, there's only maybe even 4 or 5 panels, and then it just goes to the next one. Anything that doesn't include the Inhumans directly, this book leaves out. So it's pretty good like that. Towards this side of the book, in the first quarter, we get Johnny Storm. He meets Crystal, and he's super in love with her. And it gets some balls rolling, so that the Fantastic Four actually end up meeting Black Bolt and the rest of the Inhumans, which is Gorgon, Triton, and some others. And they get trapped in their kind of world in this big dome. And a big portion of this book in the middle, here's Dragon Man. A big portion of this book deals with them being stuck inside of there. And then, Black Bolt does his thing to get them out. Pretty good read. A big thing about Stan Lee that people sometimes criticize him for, or one of his criticisms, is that he's very wordy. There are some pages that feel heavy with dialogue, but that's a good thing because you're getting to know who these characters are, the Inhumans. For example, here is Maximus the Mad. And there's Gorgon and Medusa, Crystal, and what the heck is his name? I forget. Karnak. See, this is what happens. It cuts off here when a book deviates from Inhumans. which is a cool thing. This is one of my favorite pages here because it's the Fantastic Four playing baseball with Black Panther in Wakanda. That's really fun. Really good shot here. There's the Black Panther. You see this in the movie. The giant Black Panther sculpture is pretty cool to see that. This book is fairly long. I measured this book. It is 6.5. Yeah, 6.5 by 10. I already measured it before, but I just want to show you guys. 6.5 by 10 inches, and it is 3/4 thick. So it's a pretty hefty book. It took me a while to get through this book, especially because the books back then had more pages than they do now, I believe. Each page here, without any advertisements or anything, is 20 pages long. Each book is. So you get your money's worth when it comes to story. Here we go. Here's some parts where it shows you where, here's the Galactus part, where it just cuts off and it goes straight back to the Inhumans. Which I really would have liked to see some Galactus parts. That's one of my gripes with this book. I would have liked to have seen some Galactus things. But it's okay. Inhuman story is interesting enough. Towards the back of the book, you get a lot of the history behind. Oh, there's Blastarr. This is a very good villain. Probably the best villain in the book, behind Paste Pot Pete. And Triton is my favorite Inhuman. Probably by design. Towards the back of the book, as you'll see that there's some offshoot stories with him. That you follow him. Oh, wow, the great Jack Kirby. You follow him. And that's primarily why I like him the most, I think. And Lockjaw, of course. You can't have the Inhumans without Lockjaw. Very fun in the book. But a lot of the Kree history is told towards the back, and it's revealed further and further how they were made by the Kree and everything. Here's Ronan the Accuser. And he's pretty intimidating in this part of the book. Even though it looks completely different than what we really recognize him from the movies and stuff. Black Panther teams up. I also would like to mention some things about the color. The color in this book is very vibrant. It looks pretty restored. The pages are, the soft pages is not matte or shiny, which is good because I like reading comics without any glare. And here's some really good artwork of the characters. And here's definitely a lot of history. Here's Baby Black Bolt, I think. Maximus the Mad. See, here's one of Triton's adventures. Really fun. And then this was a trip. I've never read this before. This comic, not brand I don't know how you say that. But this is number 6, and it's like a Mad TV style, funny, really ridiculous, crazy stuff going on here with Crystal and Human Torch getting married, and it's nuts, but it's super funny, and there's a lot of little hidden things here and there in this book. Some things I wanted to say about this book. This book does not have a foreword. And I feel like if it had a foreword to start it off, it would have set the scene better. If it would have, described how the Inhumans were thought up, how they fit into the story, and what happens to them in the future. I think that would have been really insightful and kind of put things in perspective. I wish they would have done that. Also, if you guys don't want anything spoiled, look away, but there are some cameos, and that kind of goes with my gripes because I wish there were more cameos in here. But here we go. Here's the wedding, or some like pre-wedding dinner or something, and the X-Men are here, the original X-Men, which is cool to see. And there is, Black Panther's in here too. You've seen him, and where's the other? on page... On this page here, we get an appearance of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. And that's it. I wish there was more. I have two other things to say about this book. I want to go to my favorite panel, it's not my favorite page, it's my favorite panel, because it goes to show right here. This is my favorite panel in the whole book. If you want to pause and read it, it just shows how Stan Lee knew his readers. And if you read this panel, you kind of see a taste of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing by putting all these characters together. And it's kind of the idea that Stan Lee had with these characters. And so it's super fun to see that. Also, this was a different time when this first came out. So if you see how Reed is being like very misogynistic and very insensitive to women, here he says, "Let go of my arm, Sue. This is no time to go feminine or romantic on me. I've got things to do." What a baller. Reed says stuff like this that just cracks me up throughout the book, and this is a pretty famous panel too. Fine, wives should be kissed and not heard. Like, wow, drop the mic. It's pretty funny though. Overall, guys, I would recommend this book, especially if you like the Fantastic Four and you read some of the early stuff but haven't read anything about the Inhumans. It's very, very insightful, especially with the Kree history that is shown throughout. It's very interesting, and I think you will enjoy reading this book, especially if it's easy for you to read these older type of books. Thank you.